Don John's a jerk. Much Ado About Nothing, released in 1993, and is directed by Kenneth Branagh, of course adapted from the legendary play written by the legendary playwright William Shakespeare. Kenneth Branagh also directing such films like Henry V, Hamlet, As You Like It, Thor, Murder on the Orient Express, and Belfast. And this movie, of course, is also starring Kenneth Branagh, Kate Beckinsale, Michael Keaton, Robert Sean Leonard, Emma Thompson, and Denzel Washington. And the reason why we're talking about Much Ado About Nothing today is because it was a PayPal recommendation and donation from one of my longest running contributors and supporters of this channel, Rusted Beetle. Thank you so much. You always give me fantastic movie recommendations. You've actually recommended this and also Hamlet, that was also directed and starring Kenneth Branagh, and I'm so happy. Whenever I hear Shakespeare and Kenneth Branagh, I immediately get overjoyed because I think all of his Shakespeare work is great. Everyone in this movie, though, I mean, Kenneth Branagh is definitely the best part. Don John and Don Pedro recently crushed an uprising and are now visiting their friend Leonardo in Messina. And while there, one of their young members of their party, Claudio, falls in love with the young and beautiful hero because she's pretty and has never had a conversation with her before. But Don John has had enough of his brother and this Claudio, and decides to screw everything up and convince Claudio that Hero was unfaithful to him, so that he causes a big scene at the wedding. And this is my favorite part of the play, because it's proof that not everything and not every idea that Bill Shakespeare had was great and made sense. Not everything that he touched turned to gold. Some of it was shit. Like this plot device. So Claudio gets angry at Hero and he storms up and he's like, she had sex with another man. I knew she would. Yeah. So in order to rekindle the relationship and the marriage, Hero and her little party comes up with the idea that, hey, due to this whole, fiasco that Claudio caused at the wedding, let's say it caused so much stress on me, Hero, that I die from it. And once Claudio hears that I died from all the stress that he put on me, he will feel bad, so we'll feign Hero having a cousin that he'll come up and wed. And in his grief and showing his devotion to Leonardo's family, we'll find out that it's Hero all along, and they'll fall in love again, and all will be forgiven, and it's a comedy, and back in Greek theater, in Elizabethan theater, if it's a comedy, it ends in weddings, it ends in dancing, it doesn't end in bloodshed, which this movie and this play definitely should have been, because Don John deserved all of the shit. And what do we get in the end for Don John for all of his comeuppance? Well, Don Pedro's like, well, tomorrow, I'll decide his punishment then. In the meantime, let's party! I do love me some Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare a lot. I love teaching it in my theater classes. I love introducing it or reintroducing it to students who definitely have a negative connotation when it comes to Shakespeare. Because, it's the language. I don't understand the language. Just like any, film that's in a foreign language that you don't understand, it takes you 5 or 10 minutes. Once you watch the play or you're watching the movie, it takes you 5 or 10 minutes for your brain to wrap around the language and to figure out what's going on. After that, you have a basic sense of what they're saying and what's going on. So students, listen to my rant that I just did and stop your freaking complaining. Now, I am always interested to see, Shakespeare adapted into film, in particular when it's adapted into another time period, because that's what Shakespeare is. They're all timeless stories. They're meant to be performed in any era and any setting, because all of the characters and all the emotions are very relatable people. But then, of course, this is adapted from Kenneth Branagh, who is known for his adaptations for Shakespeare and all the work that he's done in live theater as well. He is a brilliant director, and he is a brilliant Shakespearean director, and I love it whenever he stars in his movies because he's a brilliant Shakespearean performer. He's by far the best part of this movie, and his relationship with the language and how he feels comfortable enough to play with the language and play with the delivery. You listen to his delivery and his tones go up and down, and he's using the consonants to propel the message and propel the delivery forward. But then you have someone like Keanu Reeves, who, you know, a couple of weeks ago I was praising him for being a badass in John Wick Chapter 4, and now I'm watching a young Keanu Reeves here in 1993, and oh my god, how did he get fucking cast in this thing? He is terrible. Like, I was never a fan of my performances with Shakespeare, like in the plays that I've been in. There are a couple of scenes that I did in, like, Shakespeare class that I felt really good about, but I don't consider myself, you know, a Shakespeare expert. But Reeves has no affiliation to this language. He doesn't know how to deliver it. He's just doing his Keanu Reeves delivery, where every single word is punched and is important, and there is a cadence to Shakespeare. There is iambic pentameter. This is poetry. There is a rhythm to it. But every word in the sentence is important to him. He's just bad. He's just straight up bad. He is terrible. And it's terrible to the point that whenever he is on screen, I am laughing my ass off because you can tell just how uncomfortable he is and how he's like out of his league. It's like, why am I here? What am I doing? You don't get that with Kenneth Branagh, and you don't get that with Emma Thompson. Emma Thompson, I mean, Kenneth Branagh and her just have beautiful chemistry, and the performances in here, they're clearly the two standout, which is shocking. I thought it was going to be Denzel Washington, but even him seemed a little off with the language in this film. Emma Thompson and Kenneth Branagh, whenever they were sharing a scene together, you can tell that they were playing, they have an affiliation for this language, they know how to perform it, and they know how to play around with it to find different meanings and how to say these words. My overall viewing of the film, I do enjoy. Of course, this is a comedy, so there's gonna be a lot of laughter, there's gonna be a lot of joy, there's gonna be a lot of partying. So you have like this chorus in the background, like this Greek chorus that's constantly following all the actors, all the main characters around. So whenever they make a little pass at someone, or they do a little jest with someone, you got the chorus in the background going, it felt very theatrical for me, because that's basically my experience with Shakespeare, is that you have the main characters, but then you have the Greek chorus in the background. Don't have any lines, but they're supposed to be dialed in. They're supposed to be there. So whenever you hear something funny, it's How terrible of writing is it, too, that after Don John convinces Claudio of all the treachery, quote-unquote treachery, that he just takes off. Like, we never see him again until the very end of the play. How shitty is that? He did his villainous thing, and then he just left. What did he think he was accomplishing by doing this? He just wanted to play a prank, and it worked. Until apparently he got caught, I guess? Whatever, I don't know how that happened. Maybe Michael Keaton got into the Batwing and flew over and got him, or whatever. But Michael Keaton is fantastic. He's the simpleton peasant who has a sense of devotion for this plantation and is looking around and keep making sure that people are in line, and if there are anyone who is plotting against anyone or something doing wrong, he will immediately snatch them up, because about the plantation, right? No, mainly about the reward that he gets for doing so, but he's a lot of fun. On paper, you can read his dialogue and just read it straightforward, perform it straightforward, but here is Keaton, and he's taking pauses, he's taking little comedic bits, he's taking pratfalls in between the lines. It's hilarious. He is fantastic. Much Ado About Nothing, I think, is a fun little adaptation of Shakespeare, and of course, Shakespeare's not for everybody, it's for me, but I do love seeing great performers like Emma Thompson and Kenneth Branagh and Michael Keaton tackle all of this ancient language that we're not used to saying and bringing it forward and making it enjoyable and making it understandable. The movie's just a showcase of some great performances that I think everyone should check out. I'm gonna give Much Ado About Nothing 3 out of 5 Blu-rays.
Not exactly what I had in mind, but not bad.
So guys, have you seen Much Ado About Nothing? What did you think about it? What is your favorite film adaptation of a Shakespeare play? Whatever you thought, comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you all the next time I'm releasing my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time on the channel, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.